3. Before Daphne arrived, everyone thought I was living the protagonist's story. But once she appeared, they finally understood. Every supporting character must step back into their proper place the moment the leading lady takes the stage. It's like Cinderella's glass slipper after midnight. There's nowhere left to hide. The first sign appeared on the front page of a business and finance newspaper. The cover featured him standing side by side with a woman under an umbrella. The article detailed the woman's background and wealth, speculating that Victor was headed for a marriage of convenience. This wasn't the first time rumors had swirled about him entering such an arrangement, though they always fizzled out. More than once, I'd imagined his future legitimate wife standing before me, haughty and proud, handing me an unlimited credit card to send me on my way. But since it never came to pass, I didn't pay it much mind. The second time they appeared together was in the entertainment news. He was holding her hand, tilting his head to look at her intently. Because it was a paparazzi shot, the photo was taken from a distance, grainy and blurry, making it impossible to see their expressions clearly. But my heart sank. The moment I put down the newspaper, my mind went blank, and I might have trembled slightly. This time is different, another voice in my head told me. For some reason, I suddenly remembered a completely unrelated incident from long ago. Back then, I was just starting to gain attention in the entertainment industry, and everyone was curious about the powerful figure behind me. Paparazzi would stake out my place day and night, but I wasn't worried. No one dared to expose Victor. But there was one exception. A paparazzo managed to capture a photo. In it, Victor's face wasn't visible, but his hand was extended from the car. I had my hand resting on his as I lifted the hem of my dress, about to step inside. The photo went viral. People speculated about everything, from the style of Victor's suit visible from his half-exposed wrist to the multi-million-dollar watch he wore, even noticing his slender, well-defined fingers. Countless names, some familiar and some not, were tossed around in the comments. When the news broke, the first thing I did was go see Victor. Standing outside his door, I must have looked completely panicked, my face pale. I said, "It wasn't me." There had been celebrities before who'd paid off paparazzi to photograph Victor and tried to blackmail him, but things didn't end well for them. So I did my best to explain, "It wasn't me." He glanced at me, gave a casual grunt, and said, "I know." Only then did my heart slowly settle. The entertainment industry is never short of headlines, and eventually, the incident faded from public attention. Later, as my fame grew, some tried to dig it up again, but my fans quickly shut it down. Now, with Victor's photo with another woman so blatantly plastered across the entertainment news, there's only one possibility I can think of. He allowed it. He allowed this woman to stand openly by his side. I looked up Daphne online. She was the only daughter of a major corporation in City A, exceptional from a young age, fluent in 6 languages, a graduate of a finance program at an Ivy League university in the US, and passionate about extreme sports. Following the trail, I found her personal social media account, where she had shared many photos, hanging out with friends, attending business meetings, extreme rock climbing. She wasn't a beauty in the conventional sense, but she was vibrant and confident. In one photo, suspended from a cliff, she turned her head with a radiant, makeup-free smile, inexplicably reminding me of a sunflower in full bloom under the summer sun, just as bright and full of life. I had never shown my bare face in front of Victor. That was probably part of the self-discipline expected of a mistress. But I truly envied Daphne's ease. Of course, she had the right to be that way in front of Victor. Meeting Daphne caught me completely off guard. I was Victor's +1 at an industry event, dressed to the nines, with every hair perfectly in place. Okay, maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but that's how it felt. Standing next to Victor, I didn't need to say a word. All I had to do was smile. That was when Daphne arrived. She was dressed simply but elegantly. Passing by us, She took a glass of wine from a waiter, glanced me up and down, then playfully winked at Victor a knowing smile, the kind shared among people of their social circle, curling at her lips. She said, "This one's not bad. Good taste." I fought back the urge to frown, holding it in check again and again. Instinctively, I glanced up at Victor's face. His gaze was fixed intently on Daphne, filled with an unreadable curiosity. Curiosity about what? Let me ask you, have you ever watched romantic dramas? In those shows, when the CEO brings a date to a party and runs into the female lead, and she forces a smile and says, "You two look good together," and the CEO stares intently at her face, what is he wondering? Of course, he's wondering if she's jealous. Unfortunately, Daphne was genuinely unfazed, and Victor? He was genuinely curious about how Daphne would react to seeing him with another woman. Not long after, I couldn't help but subtly probe about his relationship with Daphne, half-jokingly asking if it was time for me to bow out gracefully. Victor just casually flicked the ash from a cigarette and said indifferently, "We're just friends." Friends, such an ambiguous yet fitting word. It can vaguely describe any relationship you can't quite define. At that moment, I softly said, "Oh," and lowered my head to focus on peeling the orange in my hands. Victor enjoyed eating oranges, but he had a quirk. He wouldn't eat oranges cut with a knife. They had to be peeled by hand. At first, I was a little bothered because, as a woman, I liked keeping my nails nice. Peeling oranges meant I couldn't let them grow too long, since they'd break under pressure and get stained yellow. After being with Victor, I never grew my nails long again. In my younger, more spirited days, I even felt sad about my nails. But now, sometimes I'd vaguely think that if he ended up with Daphne someday, he probably wouldn't need me to peel oranges for him anymore. Thinking about it, I felt a slight pang of melancholy, so I peeled another one for him. When I discussed this with my good friend Molly, she would always scoff, thinking I was overthinking things and worrying unnecessarily. She had a classic line, "Can arranged marriages ever have real feelings? It's just one miserable capitalist tying the knot with another miserable capitalist, a bond more fragile than paper ashes, gone with the slightest breeze." I just smiled, and in a woman's intuition, especially a beautiful woman's, often more ads said nothing at the time. I've always believed curate than radar. What made me so certain about this was a stormy night. It was around 2 in the morning. I was half asleep when Victor's phone rang, jolting me awake. At first, I wasn't fully conscious, but by the time I opened my eyes, Victor was already sitting up. He answered the phone and said gently, "Don't panic. Take your time." "Where are you right now?" "It's okay. Can you see any landmarks around you?" When this house was being renovated, Victor had only one requirement: privacy and soundproofing. As a result, the place was exceptionally well insulated. But now, in the dead silence of the room, I could hear the howling wind and rain from the other end of the call, mixed with a panicked woman's voice. It felt like a heavy mallet slamming into my skull, leaving a ringing in my ears. I heard Victor's gentle voice say, "Daphne, don't be afraid. Wait for me." The bed shifted slightly as he got up, followed by the click of the door lock. After that, I couldn't hear anything else. The soundproofing in this house was truly remarkable. Once the bedroom door closed, I could no longer hear his footsteps. But with my eyes shut, I could picture him walking down the hallway, passing through the living room on the first floor, picking up his car keys, changing his shoes by the entrance, and heading down to the underground garage. I threw off the covers, walked to the window, and drew back the curtains. Rain was falling silently against the glass, one drop sliding down the smooth surface only to be swept away by the next. I counted softly to myself, 1, 2, 3, then opened my eyes. A pair of headlights emerged from the underground garage. I lifted my hand and traced their path across the window pane, blinking once as a tear rolled quietly down my cheek. Later, one of Victor's chatty friends accidentally let it slip to me that on that stormy, windy night, Daphne's car had broken down halfway along GZ Road. GZ Road had one notable feature: its complicated layout, with countless narrow alleys, earning it the nickname the Downtown Maze. Daphne didn't even know exactly where she was. Panicked, she called Victor, and within half an hour, he miraculously showed up right in front of her. GZ Road. I repeated the name silently. From our place to GZ Road, it usually took at least 40 minutes under normal traffic. Without knowing Daphne's exact location, he managed to find her in just half an hour. I couldn't help but think, what a remarkable friendship that was. His friend Zachary, lounging lazily on the sofa, squinted and offered me some advice. Serena, honestly, among all the people around Victor, you're my favorite. Daphne is back. You should start making plans for yourself sooner rather than later. You're no match for Daphne. She doesn't even have to try. Just by being there, you've already lost. I raised my glass of beer, smiled at him, and downed it in one go, a kind of toast to him.